So for that first investment, what are some major items that you think the investor should be focusing on just for that first investment, basically? Like what qualifies a good project as far as EB-5 goes?
Well, it's a long list, frankly. I'll try to summarize. From a, again, the way our approach is fundamentals based first. So the first part of the analysis for us, and what we emphasize with an investor first, is this is good real estate. We think that there's value that will be created here that even in our downside underwriting will preserve your capital. That's the basics, right? And I should be able to, any project sponsor or investment manager should be able to clearly articulate why that is the case. So that's number one. Where are we location-wise? Why do we believe this real estate makes sense? And then the second thing is probably structure. There are a lot of different ways that EB-5 capital can be used in a project. It can be debt, it can be equity, it can be some combination of those. Those debt versus equity, for example, is not inherently good or bad, but the risk profile is different. And so that needs to be made very clear, that you're taking on this level of risk in this structure. And in return for that, you're getting whatever return is targeted, and you're completing this immigration process. We sometimes have investments that are equity investments that have returns that are substantially higher than our debt EB-5 investments, and that's by design, because that's not for everybody. Most EB-5 investors are more concerned with capital preservation than with earning returns on their money, and therefore for most of our clients, that debt structure makes more sense. But all loans are not created equal. It's very easy to have a loan that is undersecured or under collateralized, or is structured in a way that provides the lender with limited ability to exercise remedies if there's a problem. When you're talking about downside mitigation risk, it's one thing what the documents say you can do, and it's quite something else, what the lender is actually prepared to do. So as an example, I can be a lender to a hotel development project, and if they stop paying the interest in the middle, we could foreclose, for example. Well, we're prepared to actually foreclose. We have a development team, a construction team that is prepared to literally take over the construction of a hotel, as an example. Not everyone is in that position. So it's worthwhile when you're doing your homework up front to ask about the depth of the team, as an example.
I think just to add to that too, you were touching on interest rates. I think a lot of investors, they get a little confused about EB-5. I like to tell them that, EB-5 is not an investment program. It's an immigration program with an investment component. So if you're only looking for high returns, and that's all you're looking for, then maybe EB-5 isn't really the right thing for you. The interest that you're getting is really your green card and the ability to work and live in the US. So you always want to look for a project, that's at least secure, that has your capital secure. And with that is a low interest, but you get the green card.
Yeah, the way I always tell people, it's because they're like, oh, this one gives you 1%, 3%, 4%.
Right.
Who cares percent, right? You don't want sexy in EB-5. You don't want Bitcoin, right? You want something boring and stable like a bond, right? Or again, if we look at this from a due diligence standpoint, when you're choosing projects, right? There are ways to select projects where you have substantially mitigated your risk. A basic question you can ask is, does this project have all the money it needs to finish construction? Or if something goes wrong and need more money, where does it come from, right? The answer should be clear. You can also invest in projects that have already, for example, broken ground and began construction. That means literally as a project is spending money, you have your jobs already created, right? Or you can invest in a project with all the jobs created.
I think that's a single very important question that any investor can ask any project. Will this project be completed without my money?
Or a project with completion guarantee.
Exactly.
Something goes wrong in the future, someone kicks in, right?
The
These
project
things are
should never
always
need
going
my
on.
money.
Yeah.
Right.